Salutations, gamers! Today we're gonna take a look at a game that's near and dear to my heart. I'm gonna take you back to the ancient era of the PlayStation 1 and shed light on how a 20-year-old skateboarding game is still revered as one of, if not the best skateboarding game of all time. That's not a hot take, nor my opinion, but rather straight, unadulterated, factual knowledge. Walk with me. When I was 10 years old, THSP2 was the king of video games. I didn't even know I was banging out to the edgiest skater music ever conceived by man.
There's a place where everyone can be happy. It's the most beautiful place in the whole fucking world. Now this is what it's like when worlds collide. You ready to go? Got it, I'm ready to go. What you gonna do, baby, baby? It's in our nature to destroy ourselves. It's in our nature to kill ourselves. It's in our nature to kill each other. It's in our nature to kill, kill, kill.
I spent a good 3 hours to get it working on my computer. That is running in silky smooth 25 frames per second. It crashes every time one of these videos play.
You going with me? I'm going with you. That's the end of all time.
And Tony Hawk has stopped working. And I'll have you know, you're watching the 32-bit color scheme that looks even more photorealistic than the original PS2 title. Do you want to play a game that's all about mastering autistic inputs to chain together heretical combos for ridiculous dopamine points? Do you want to hit yourself in the groin with a skateboard? Could I perhaps interest you in a game where every stage has one or two things that's disproportionately louder than anything else in the game?
You mother! You are pissing me off! Moving your buttocks! Forget about it!
Trust me, you will hear the bus coming. And do you want to play a skateboarding game from the era before they made skating games terrible? Then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is the game for you. As the developers went bankrupt, this game has been pulled from every online store. The only legal way to play it would be to own one of these consoles and purchase a physical copy. For an educational deep dive on what not to do online, I've included someone's Google Drive link in the description with everything you'd need to play it, including instructions on how to illegally install it. But personally, I wouldn't recommend anyone partake in such heinous activities. However, if you happen to, unlike me, be a pirate, not dissuaded by the confines of the law, here's why you would want to download this 20-year-old game. The gameplay's core premise is skating around like a carnal lunatic who doesn't give a fuck. It's all about sliding rails, doing wall rides, and stringing your insane combo together with manuals to finally finesse yourself onto a ramp. Once in the air, you mash as many random buttons as you can, and with some luck, you come out on top. Most of the time though, you kiss the concrete. And let me tell you, I don't think my Tony Hawk has many bones left. Anyone who claims that button mashing is not a valid strategy clearly haven't been Horkpilled on the subject. To unlock the later stages, you need cash. This game is all about the dollar, the money, the cream, which you can get in various ways. You can collect the bundles of cash lying around the maps, complete objectives like jumping over 5 different hobos in the span of 2 minutes, or finding each stage's secret tape. Every single objective is directly tied to different aspects of the game and teaching you to overcome them. I'm a giant sucker for when pretty much the entire game is a deconstruction of the mechanics at play. Watch my Diddy Kong Racing video for reference. But shameless plug aside, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 holds up. And it's not just good, it's very good. Very, very good. Very, very, very good. Very, 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 very. Imagine if I just kept doing that the whole video. That's all you get. Yeah. Anyways, it's all about the money, and with set cash, you can upgrade different stats. As in many facets of life, all you really need is ollies, speed, and rail balance. But of course, you max all the stats just because you can. You can also buy various different tricks, and no matter what I do, no matter what I press, with my Xbox One controller on the awful PC keyboard port, fuck! I can't perform any of the special tricks. With 30 hours of gameplay, at least half of that must have been button mashing. At least an hour and a half of that was actually trying to do special tricks, and I haven't been able to do it one single time. I'm not exactly happy about that. And about 15 hours into the game, once I'd painstakingly 100%ed all but 2 levels, I found out you can upgrade your skateboard, and it makes a monumental difference. Don't be me. Learn from my mistakes. Live a better life. On some real shit though, this game came out 20 years ago, and I still find myself randomly sinking in many hours just to land some dummy thick trick route I came up with. Like, the clip you're watching now is just the culmination of me playing Hanger for 3 hours straight. Stringing together combos feels so fluid and fucking satisfying in this game. Plus, whenever you eat dirt, it's not because of some inconsistent game mechanic, it's because you suck shit. The broke way to play is to watch some YouTube guide video and try to copy other people's skating style. Live life with a half chub and abuse the easily spammable sections that'll yield enough points to beat the level. The woke way is to know that half the fun is skating around the maps, learning them whilst mastering the disgusting wall run angles required to scale buildings. Does the game crash if you alt-tab? Absolutely. Could you tinker around for hours and still not be able to unlock the frame rate? Yes, that's very likely. Are the competition maps a terrible deviation from the core gameplay? That's just my opinion. But if you can look past all the flaws, you have an incredible diamond in the rough. Hands down, one of the most rewarding and addictive games I've ever played. I had to pause there because that word got my Risk of Rain 2 video screwed. Times are tough, but here's what you need to understand. Other than not being able to perform special tricks, and that the game is extremely frustrating, and that it crashes if you alt-tab, and that it's rather painful to properly install. Without my hookup, you'd have to dodge a multitude of malicious TonyHawk2.exe files, and that it's basically designed for a 12-year-old child with attention deficit disorder who doubled down on his ADHD medication, and that for a map you have to restart a couple hundred times. It's downright criminal that you have to hear this every single time. And that Tony Hawk would go on to promote the skateboard controller, and a bunch of other objective flaws. Other than those things,
The Ultimate Rush.
it's literally perfect. It really is a beautiful game that will take you all around the world, from the impoverished third world streets of Los Angeles to Marseille, France, to downtown New York. You can even skate somewhere in Mexico. When you play this game, you feel like you are Tony Hawk. When you fire this game up, your little nuts are gonna be quaking, buddy. And right here is where I would have put an ad for a VPN company, except they stopped responding to my emails, so fuck them, we're doing a thing for the Pancreatic Cancer Foundation instead. A little out of character, I know, but they emailed me a list of reasons why pancreatic cancer is awful, and I'm gonna read some of that shit out to you. It has an 8% survival rate, which means you got better odds of surviving lethal injection. They said, "This is the cancer that makes you wish you had a different cancer." Holy shit. Now, I don't believe in raising awareness. I don't think that's real. That's not a thing. It's a waste of time. But I do believe in raising money. So if you have some money to spare and you realize that my Patreon is basically just funding a schizophrenic pyromaniac, then consider clicking the link down below to give some money to the people fighting pancreatic cancer. Speaking of cancer, fuck ExpressVPN, cunt company. I'm glad you didn't pay me a shit ton of money to lie through my teeth about your shit-ass service. Now back to Tony Hawk. THSP2 did for skateboarding games what 3D printing did for assault rifles. And although this game was my childhood and I've spent countless hours on it, there's content I wasn't even aware of. If you 100% every level with every skater, or type in a cheat code, you get access to Skate Heaven. This game's from the era where all game devs had fried their central nervous system with various activities throughout the 80s. And as a result, you'll come to find a ridiculous number of PS1 and N64 titles have some hidden bonus level that's completely whacked out. GoldenEye has the pyramid level. Diddy Kong Racing got the wacky space world, and Tony Hawk 2 has Space Heaven. The first game had Area 51, but don't bother installing Tony Hawk 1 maps. They don't work very well, and my memory of them was rose-tinted by my nostalgia goggles. They're literally just the second game's levels, but worse. Except Mall, it's a fucking masterpiece. Anyways.
Skate on, my son.
Skate Heaven has this ominous background ambience, and the announcer that mocks you every time you fail.
You suck.
You can also get to a secret area if you jump in the volcano whilst it's erupting. It's one of the best levels in the game, and it's crazy to think barely anyone ever played it back in the day. There's also secret unlockable characters. They actually put Officer Dick, Shrek, and Spider-Man in the game. It feels like one of those Chinese bootleg MOBA games. They also got Private Carrera, whose main character trait, as stated multiple times by Neversoft, I'm not making this up, is that she's barely legal. Her bio reads, Army brat Private Carrera is ready for action. If it's hard, like skateboarding, she's on it. Carrera is always ready for some stiff competition. Also, I lied. Shrek is in Tony Hawk's Underground 2, but it's still funny. If you're bored of the standard gameplay experience, you can also add big heads, disco lights, become skinny, or enter that code several times to achieve downright malnutrition. Perhaps you'd rather boogie down with a high calorie intake, or go the whole 9 yards and just play as a child. In this game, you can pretty much do everything, except special moves. I'm playing a skateboarding game where Spider-Man is more available to me than skateboard tricks, and I still believe the delusion that I live a worthy life. Here's the fucking bottom line. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is an absolute gem. Play it till you contract ADHD. That's also my rating for the game. As a nice little send-off to one of the best games from my childhood, here's a montage I made in Windows Movie Maker with the most garbage replay camera feature in video game history, laid over the S+ tier edgelord music, Over and Under by Egypt Central. If anyone contracts pancreatic cancer from watching this video, then I'm sorry, but I had to go and do it.
I can see it in your eyes. I can feel it in my mind. I don't care if you realize what you see in my eyes. I'm over me and under you. I'm breaking free, I'm breaking through. I've overcome all I'm underneath.
Crazy.
Stand